Okay, so hello everyone. Today we are looking at poster design for beginners in Canva. So the point of this session is actually to introduce anyone who is new to poster design or design in general to making posters for your events in college, schools, etc. Specifically because that is what we are doing mostly nowadays as students, or have been will have to do such posters in the future. So for that, we are taking some specific examples. Rather, we'll be doing a very specific poster for an upcoming event in our IIT MBSC Sundarbans House. So, to get started, I just wanted to first put across some points that are very important when it comes to poster design in general. So when we start poster design, the first thing is, let's say we want to design a poster for let's say a chess event online. So we have to look at what platform are we posting at currently. So let's say we have a Instagram page or a Facebook page. So the first thing that we want to see is what is the post size that is allowed on those websites. So actually Canva does a lot of good things for us in that way, because if we go to home in Canva and we click on create design, so there we have a lot of suggested items here, which one of them says Instagram post, another says Instagram story, and then we can move on to a custom size that we want to create. So basically, I would just like to show you guys one more thing, which is okay. So the main thing is the post size that we are looking at the start. So the YouTube thumbnail is 1280 by 720 pixels by default. So the pixels is what we measure on digital screens, because that is the only measurement we have. You might go to your settings and see the desktop resolution set to 1366 by 768 or something. So those are numbers, and they have an aspect ratio, to be very specific. So aspect ratio is what I'm going to be looking at in the start. So the main thing that aspect ratio means is, you might have seen numbers like 16 is to 9, or you might have seen numbers like 1 is to 1, or 4 is to 3. You might have those numbers in your phone or something. So 16 is to 9 aspect ratio actually just means that you have, if you have a width of 16 units, then you have a height of your screen as 9 units. So any number that you see that appears random, let's say 1280 by 720, which we call 720p, the resolution which you have on YouTube. So that resolution of 720p is actually a 16 is to 9 aspect ratio. Nowadays, one more thing is happening. Newer devices are coming up with aspect ratios of 18 is to 9, which is a bit longer than 16 is to 9. So, like, if I show you my phone, this is an 18 is to 9 aspect ratio screen. So it is not 16 is to 9. So actually, if I play a 720p video on my phone, so you would have black bars over here and over here because of the length of the screen. As the length is a little longer, so you would have black bars on either side of the screen. So that is for the aspect ratio. But mainly, let's say we are posting on Instagram. Okay, we are posting on Instagram. So on Instagram, majorly you have square photos. So whenever you see a square, some we are all mathematics, actually at least learning mathematics in this degree or something. So we all know square has equal sides. So if you increase a side by 1 unit, then all the other sides would also increase by 1 unit. So if you uh, so that makes the aspect ratio 1 is to 1, which means if you increase the width of a square by 1 unit, then the height will also increase to make sure that all the sides are equal. So that is for 1:1 aspect ratio. And like I said, 16:9 aspect ratio means 16 units is the width and 9 units is the height. And you multiplied that by any number and you get a new resolution, or a new size for your poster or something. So one more size that Instagram uses nowadays is a 4:3 aspect ratio, which is more squarer than 16:9, if that is the correct terminology, but it is a little bit stretched out than your basic square. So 4:3 actually covers is actually a portrait thing. So whenever you see a larger number on the left, let's say it is a 4:3 aspect ratio, then it would mean that the width is longer and the height is shorter. 16:9 would mean your width is 16 units, so you would have a landscape thing that you would see on your phones or something. So this is landscape and this is portrait. So currently you would call, when I put my phone like this, you would call it 18 because the width is longer and the height is shorter, so you would call it 18:9. But if I flip my phone like this, then you would call it 9:18. So that is the terminology, and the same goes for 16:9. If this was a 16:9 display, so you would have 16:9 and 9:16. So that is the same thing. And the best thing with let's say squares, or a square post on Instagram, is that you tilt it anyway. The aspect ratio doesn't get disturbed in any way. So that is for the post sizes that you see when you start Canva, basically. uh, yes, Kushagra.
So 4:3 वाला जो है उसमें 4 is the height and 3 is the width,
No, the
like a portrait.
four is the width. The first number is always the width, and the next one
Okay.
is height. I
Okay.
would suggest keep some of the questions for later, and we'll move on to all your questions. Moving forward, so the post size and aspect ratio is what I've talked about till now. The second thing that is very important, actually, before we actually get into poster design specifically. So uh, what you would basically need to know is about the visual hierarchy. That is something which most people, or most amateurs or beginners, won't know, or would actually miss out. But I would like to present to you one more example of visual hierarchy. So just a moment. This is the wrong screen. um, okay, so this one, uh, when you guys are free to actually look at this screen and see for yourselves which lines you notice first. Okay, so as the photo suggests, you will read this first is the biggest thing that is written. If you guys can actually see the shortest or the smallest words, I don't think so you can, but okay, you can see three lines basically. So you will read this first is what your eyes go on to the first. You look at that thing first, and then you see the next bigger line, which is below it actually, and which says, and then you will read this line next. And the third one is, that's why you hire a professional. That is the third line, which is the smallest actually. That is smallest visible actually. So that is what you would read the last. So basically this is a very accurate example of what is called visual hierarchy. So this is very important in posters. So let's say the practicality of poster is such that you want to create a poster which actually invites people to your event, or you actually invite people, or you sort of excite people over something, or you draw attention to certain parts of your poster or your post. So the visual hierarchy is a very important component when it comes to that, because the first thing that you want people to look at should be the most important line that you want people to focus on. So let's say we are making a poster for an event, which we'll proceed to very shortly. But you want the first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that the heading or the main major part of your event is highlighted in your poster, and people look at it at the first glance. So whenever you see an image like this, which I've presented currently, the first thing that people would see is this line is you will read this first. So whenever you're making a poster or something like that, you want people to focus on such parts of a poster. I have one more example in this actually, or rather, it is a quote. It says, "If everything yells for your viewers' attention," it is by Aaron Walter. He is a designer, and it is from his blog. He says, "If everything yells for your viewers' attention, nothing is heard." It is very accurate actually, because if let's say you don't have any hierarchy in what you want people to see. So the another again, moving back to this example, if everything is highlighted the same way, let's say there was only yellow text on the whole screen, if there was only yellow text spread across the whole screen, there would be nothing highlighted actually, and your eyes wouldn't actually stick to one place to view a certain important part of that poster. So that is why visual hierarchy is very, very, very important when it comes to posters, specifically when you are looking to highlight a certain event or something like that. So that is for visual hierarchy. And next, we are going to actually dive into the actual meat of this event. That is, we are going to make a poster live. And obviously, I would like you all to be involved when I make that, and we would like move together and have some suggestions as we go along. So, just before we do that, this is one more example of a news article website, which is Guardian. And you could see there are some bright red spots, some yellow spots, and green spots on the screen. So basically what happens with such things is, such articles online, is as English is written from left to right, it is such a language, and most languages in the world are written from left to right: Hindi, Malayalam, Kannada, whatever, Telugu, Tamil, many languages. So these are written from left to right. So people uh, naturally tend to read these languages from left to right. So whenever you uh, go to any article or such website, you tend to read from the top left downwards, and you start from the top left, you read a little bit here, and then you uh, skim over the other parts of the article like it is presented over here. So this is actually a photo from a survey which tells how the eye tracking, how people's eyes behave on the certain articles or something like that. So when someone is starting to look at this page, at the he or she probably sees this part, this bright red part first, and then goes on to some other yellow parts randomly. But yes, the major thing is the people start from top left, given given that the article is written in such way. I'll tell you more as we go along to the practicality and actually start making the poster just now. Okay, so I'll present that tab, or okay, I'll present the whole window. Okay, so yes, moving on to our actual uh, uh, poster design part inside of Canva. So this example of cred that I'm showing you right now was something that I was recently traveling from across Maharashtra. So what I saw first while going through Pune was this cred banner or cred billboard on the street. So that is this is what something that some this was something that caught my eye, and this was very simple in the fact that it only said one thing, which is download cred. the poster, the thing that you have seen, I've actually recreated it inside of Canva, but it was literally the whole poster of their whole company. So a poster or something can be as simple as this also. uh, but guess what, the thing I told you about visual hierarchy is also true here, because what they did is they started from the top left of the screen, as you can see here. And what they did is they uh, put the main thing that they want to highlight is download credit in the top left, so people's eyes go towards it first, and then they move on to other elements like their logo or get it on App Store or Play Store. Can someone quickly mention in the chat whether you can see my cursor when I move it around here, or I'll have to cast the whole window? Okay, thank you, thank you. So yes, so they put that thing in the top left, and yes, as Kushagra rightly said, they have a very strong marketing position currently. So okay, not moving into the depth of that, we'll start to create our own poster. So I guess I'll delete this. Okay, and for an example, or for the better part of what we want to achieve today is we are going to take a concrete example. So one of my housemates, actually Madhuganda, mentioned to me that we want to create a poster on which is on the 2nd of October, and it is going to be about let me see, it is going to be about the importance of ahimsa in the modern era. So obviously, as 2nd October is Gandhi Jayanti, Sundarbans House is going to host some events, and one of them is importance of ahimsa, uh, and it is going to be held on obviously 2nd October, and it is going to be on 6 p.m. Okay, so for that, before actually going into making this poster, this is something which I want to interact with you guys. Whenever I say whenever you read the words in the title of this event, which is Mahatma Gandhi, ahimsa, modern era, what symbols actually pop up in your mind? If you could raise your hand, or if you could speak, or just write it in the chat, anything will work. So I would just like to know, according to you, what symbolizes India, Mahatma Gandhi, or modern India or something? So Mahatma Gandhi and India being the main things, uh, I would like you guys to try or uh, attempt something about what comes to your mind, or what symbolizes these two, uh, Mahatma Gandhi and India. Okay. Yes, Koshagra, go ahead.
Charkha, I guess, because it is symbolization of Ashoka's, which is our matlab, ancestor, Gajab,
Okay.
or it is a symbolization of our flag, and it is also symbolization of Gandhiji.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So yes. So that is one of the most prominent things. New currency note. So yes, Umang.
Incredible India movement. Like we
Incredible
can
India.
mention Aadhaar card also, and like technologies IIM Ahmedabad and ISRO also. Like from
Oh,
Charkha to the modern India.
okay. Yes. Definitely, definitely.
With the Mahatma Gandhi photo like moving,
Yes,
right?
yes, sure. So yes, these are some things which are very important when it comes to making posters. Is why did this exercise basically was that you firstly need to identify the major symbols of whatever you want to create. So here we are going for the 2nd October, and we're looking to symbolize India and Mahatma Gandhi. So for that, we would need such symbols to fit into our poster, which would actually make it more relatable. Or once someone sees the poster, he or she would be able to better recognize what the poster is about. So yes. The next thing that we want to talk about is so basically here what we are going to do is we are not going to actually create the poster, sorry, the each element of the poster. Let's say we are not going to actually create the image of Mahatma Gandhi or India. We are not going to draw those things. We are actually going to focus on what is called composition in this event. So composition is basically taking different elements from everywhere and putting it together into a poster so that it makes some sense. So basically, uh, we are going to write some text of our own. We are going to insert some logos here and there, which symbolize the club or something, and we are going to take some assets which are available online or through Canva. I'll tell you some design resources, and we are going to put it all together. So basically, we are going to focus on composition a lot in this session. So I guess we'll start right away. So the first thing that we want to do is just just initially write the title of the event somewhere where it makes sense. So the title of the event is Importance of Ahimsa in the Modern Era. Okay, so yes, so this is our title. So again, like I gave you an example of cred, you could potentially just put this in the center of your poster and be done with it. Um, yes, hello Ansh, Anshuman. So basically, you could just put this title in the center of your poster and be done with it. But again, this gets across some a bold point rather. If you have a very powerful statement in the or only one statement that you want people to focus on, uh, putting a black sentence in front of a white background only makes sense that way. So basically, we want people to identify by looking at the poster at what this thing is going to be about. So let's say we are going to, as I said, we are going to create a visual hierarchy. The first thing that we are going to do. So with that example that we had previously of having a bold heading in the start and some subheadings before and above that. So we are going to make this statement bold and capital so that no other thing that we put again inside of this poster is going to dominate that thing. So the importance of creating a visual hierarchy starts from the very first step. So the first thing that we are going to do is actually capitalize this left line currently, and we'll put it somewhere here, and let's see how other things pan out with our journey. So the next thing that we want to show is tell people, let's say, about when the event is going to happen. So the event is as given on 2nd October and at 6 p.m. So I guess we'll put that later. But the first thing which we are going to do currently is we are going to find something which we can put besides all this heading and make sure that all of it makes sense. So I guess let's search some things over here. Let's see if we can find something in Canva which actually makes sense. So I guess I'll just search Gandhi or something. Okay. So we have some example. We have some samples over here. So the first thing is we have the face of Gandhi. Um, and we are going using Mahatma Gandhi because people usually recognize him whenever ahimsa is said. So people usually his face pops up in people's head. So we are not going to go at any opinions or something in that way. We are just only looking at what is popular with the people. So we don't care about anything else. We are just looking at things which make the poster more and more relatable. So if the only thing that comes to your mind is the face of Mahatma Gandhi, then let it be the face of Mahatma Gandhi, because if people relate with that, then it is then you're good to go, because you want people to relate and identify the poster as fast as they can in the first glance. And usually what happens is, when people look at posters, they don't look at it for more than, even let's say YouTube ads or something, people don't look at those things for more than 3 or 5 seconds. So the attention span is getting shorter and shorter. So the quicker you can get people's attention and tell them what the thing you're showing is about, you are at a better place. So let's say we can just start with his face right now over here, and then we can do more things as we go. So one more thing that I would like to do is change the font a little bit. So something like this, something like a more uh, something more impactful. Actually, we don't want any bulgy edges or something, because that makes it a little more childlike, and we don't want that thing for a serious topic. So you don't want curvy and round edges over your font when you want to say something strong and you want to say something very serious. So you want to use something which is more impactful and straight to the point, or rather very strong. So we actually talked about this typography in a previous session. So the importance of using such fonts is that it displays a sense of maturity and a sense of strong meaning in that sort. So that is what we are doing currently, and we are just proceeding with uh, this font currently. The next thing that we want to do in this poster is we want to specify the time and date of that thing. So if I am correct, it is second October, and it is on 6 p.m. Okay. So as far as I have the information regarding this event, I only have this much information currently about this event, and we are basically going to only need this information only for this event. So moving ahead, so you could say that this poster is able to this image that we have created currently is able to portray your message of what you want to show um, about ahimsa or Gandhiji or whatever, modern era, anything. The next thing that we can actually do with something like this is search for India and search for the Indian flag, and maybe put it somewhere where it makes sense. So I guess something like this works. But okay, let me delete it for now. Um, okay, so as we might have new people, so again, I'm asking you guys: is there anything that you would look at this title and say symbolizes this thing more than Mahatma Gandhi or something? Does something come to your mind when we talk about ahimsa in the modern era? And there is a symbol which is more eye catchy than Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, So yes,
I guess no, but that angry Hanumanji face is surely symbolizing Hinsa nowadays. Just saying.
yes. Yes, yes. So we'll not go into that. Okay. So the point is we are only looking for things that symbolize what is the point, or what is the title of our poster basically. So one more thing we can do is we can introduce some colors into our poster. So we could make certain things stand out and the others not. So one more thing about visual hierarchy is that you can create a lot of contrast. So contrast in design occurs when you can actually have contrast in many ways. So what I have done here is is we have a large heading and then we have a smaller text. So what would happen, let's say, if I would have this thing in the same font size. If I put these two side by side, then you would not know the difference between what is important and what is not important in this design. I mean, if you actually read it uh, at with your time, then you would actually recognize that that it is written importance of ahimsa in modern era in 2nd October 6 p.m. But if you want to get your point across quickly, so you would need to create some contrast. So contrast occurs in many ways, and one way that contrast occurs is with size, as I showed you. If you make it smaller, then people know that the thing that we want people to focus on is this title over here. Then they would look at this thing, which is the time, and maybe look at any illustration that comes with this. So what we want to do is introduce more contrast with the addition of some colors in the time, in what is not important basically. So the time and date is something which people, with the people who are interested would find automatically. But if you want to target a broader audience, so you want people to look at the title first and then find the details that they want to accordingly. The people, the point I'm saying is, if the people are interested, if the people get interested by looking at your title, then they'll find the details that they want automatically. So what I want to do is introduce a grayer color, let's say here. So this makes these two lines more different. It introduces more contrast between these two lines. And again, if you even if now we make these two the same size, and let's say spread it out a little bit, so what would happen is automatically you have a distinction between these two things. So you have a immediate contrast between that this is a title and this is something which comes after it, because it is more bold. The black bold font is actually uh, heavier, and so people tend to look at it first, and then the lesser important thing comes below it. One more thing that we can do to introduce contrast is with the use of bold and light fonts. So basically what happens is you have two things in design. So you have a font family, and then you have a font which comes inside of it. So one example that we can actually see on uh, Canva is with the font that is Montserrat. I don't know the exact pronunciation, but what the point I'm trying to say is, let's say Montserrat is a font family that you have, and inside that font family you have these all these fonts that you have. So you have the regular font. The first one is the basic Montserrat. Actually, this is not it is not mentioned, but you this one is the Montserrat Classic is the one which is called regular. Then you have the semi bold version. Then you should have actually a regular font, a bold font, and extra bold font. So the thickness of the font increases in steps. So here you have the classic font. So firstly, you have the thin font, which is the thinnest, as the name suggests. Then you have the extra light, which is actually a little uh, heavier than the thin font. Then you have the classic font, then you have the semi bold font, and you have the extra bold font. So what you want to do is you want to use these things and create even more contrast. So let's say we have a title. If I make it extra bold, uh, then just a moment. I would like to make this whole thing okay. So if I make it extra bold, I would want to make sure that the second line that I'm using is not extra bold. It is actually one or two steps lower than extra bold that I'm using. So you would actually you would need to go for, let's say, regular, or I would suggest extra light, because then it would introduce even more contrast in what you want to achieve. So previously we only had the contrast between sizes, then we introduced contrast with colors, and now we are introducing contrast with the use of fonts. So again, we have a black bold heading at the top. We have a grayer, smaller, and a lighter variation of any of the time and date, which is not as important as the message or the title of the event. So that is why we introduce more contrast. As I'm reiterating this again and again, because it is very important that you want people to look at the main thing of your poster first, and then look at the other things later. So then again, as this is not that important, you can actually place it in any corner. And as I mentioned earlier, um, as if you have heat maps or eye tracking heat maps, and people tend to read from left to right and top to bottom. So you need to place important things on this side if you are actually using such text. If you are going from left to right, if you are writing from left to right, then make sure that whatever you are writing is actually in the top left. So whatever you are writing is in the top left of your screen. So, and whatever is not important actually comes below it. Okay. So Umang said, other than Gandhianism, we can add technology, related visuals, and background color as of Indian flag. Yes, surely, surely. So basically, what by symbolism I meant to say is, um, we have the modern era, and we want to show that influence came from India, and the idea originated from India. So for such things as Umang suggested can be a very good idea. So one thing that we can do is introduce the colors of India somewhere. So let's say we have this thing over here, and uh, we can introduce, let's say, an orange color here, a bolder font with a green color over here somewhere. And then instead of maybe using Gandhiji or something, uh, we can introduce uh, technology or other things. So uh, that would actually according to me make it maybe a little irrelevant, because we are not talking about Indian technology in that sense. You are free to contradict, but um, if we are just talking about influence of Indian ideology over other countries, so I would say Indian flag in that sense would convey the message better. Um, and again, uh, so yes, okay. So in relation with this, I would like to show you some more things. Uh, Let me present my whole window for that. Okay, so Kushagra says, can we use pale color for background? It feels ancient and Indian. Okay, okay, yes. So we can do that. But some one thing that I would like to show you guys is if on Canva you cannot find such elements, as I mentioned before, we are more focused with the composition of the elements that we want to create. So what we want to do is go and find some design resources which I would like to suggest to you guys. So one of my favorite design resources is freepik.com. So you can go on this website and actually find a lot of great visuals for whatever you want to create. So as basically we are looking to create something which is related to India, and as mentioned in the comments by Umang, um, we are actually looking for something which symbolizes India more. So uh, as I mentioned before, composition is what we are looking at currently, and composition is more important, I would say, when it comes to creating posters, because you don't want to be creating each and every element from scratch. So this website is one thing, and the other is actually not relevant to us currently, but I'll surely mention it. So what I can see over here is this one image that we have, and obviously on Google Images is a very good thing. So, but you want to be very specific when you are searching on Google, because if you are searching for Google Images, uh, then you want to be very specific in what you want to search. Like I have, instead of searching India like I did on free pick, I am just searching for India background or something like that. So you want to be a little vague with that those terms. So let's say I pick this uh, design, and I just want to upload it over here. Just a moment. Okay, so we are done importing this actually inside of Canva. So what we can do is, um, just a moment. Okay, so I was admitting someone. Okay, so we have a background as such, which is more Indian, or which is more important to the topic. So, uh, but the problem over here. Okay, so basically, as we put this text and this or orange text and this green text above this background of India, can someone over here mention what the major problem that you are seeing with this currently? If you are just leaving it
Fantastic.
like this, who was it? Yes, yes. So Ratna says contrast issues. So yes, very correctly said. We can see clearly over here that uh, the orange over here, actually this side orange over here overlaps with the orange on behind it. So one thing we can do is a little hack that works every time. So okay, like you can see, even not even white works, because then white camouflages over the background, and then you can't even do it as orange, because again orange camouflages with the background again. And if you start to do green, then you sort of lose the character of the image. Like you already have some green color over here in the background, and if you again introduce green in one another part, then you lose the Indian flag character of the image. So one thing that you can do with sort of this thing is go to edit image inside of Canva, and just bring down the brightness a little bit. Just bring down the brightness. uh, I, I'm putting it at minus 74 actually. So why I am doing this is because now if you do it in white, and if you do this thing, this date also in white, then you are able to see both of these things currently, and you don't miss out on the character of the image. So at the same time, you are able to see the image, that is, you want to see India or the Indian flag, and then you want to see these pieces of text over it. And if you darken it a little bit, then then you remove the contrast issue of the image. Like, you don't have to worry a lot about what is inside of the image if you are darkening it a little bit. So while we are at it, I would just like to talk in brief about what each of these adjustments do to the image. So um, I would say let's not go into all of them. We'll just look at some of them as it might get a little complicated. Okay. So firstly, the most basic thing about editing an image, actually doing adjustments to an image, as it is called in design, correctly named adjust. So adjust over here. So brightness is the addition of white if you go to the right side, and it is the addition of black to the photo if you go to the left side. Or more correctly, it is the introduction of light or the removal of light from your image. Uh, the second thing that we have currently is contrast. So contrast when adjusting an image is the just a moment. Okay, so contrast, uh, when we are having adjustments in an image, is the difference between black and white. So let's say, how do I explain this better? Okay, so you have a median line. Okay, Anshuman wants to say something. Yes,
Yes,
Anshuman.
sir. Nice event.
Yes.
Just wanted to ask. We've decided to go ahead with India's flag instead of Gandhi's picture, right?
No, we have not actually decided to do anything right now. We are just experimenting with what works better and what gets the message across better with whatever we want to achieve. So if introducing Gandhi's photo over this thing currently uh, portrays our message better, then be it. So we are going on that track currently. Yes. So if you want to add that anything to that currently.
Yeah, I was just saying that in the we basically decided that since lately there's a lot of controversy surrounding Gandhi's life, so we were trying to avoid mentioning Gandhi on this day. Like that's why the idea was discussing just non-violence as a topic and not
Okay.
Gandhi's ideologies and all, because he's currently a very controversial figure in India because
Okay.
recent facts about his life have recently come up that earlier were never discussed. So I think I was just saying that if we could just put a picture of, say, like for example, Mahavir Jain or Gautam Budh instead of Mahatma Gandhi, that would be great because we're trying to avoid discussing Gandhi on 2nd October.
Okay. So rightly said. So okay. So going on the lighter side, some this is somewhat like, okay. Umang wants to add something.
Yeah, I
Go
want
ahead.
to add that rather than decreasing the brightness of the background image, can we change the text color to the black?
So you want to go with a black back. So you are asking about a black background entirely.
Black text color.
Black text color. Okay. So I'll tell you why I'm not using black. Okay.
Please. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. So let's say we have brightness at 0. Okay. So the image is very bright. Okay. And then we go on and introduce only black color like this. So why I
But
personally.
uh,
Okay.
yeah, I want to add that that we do not have to decrease the brightness of the background image.
Yes. So you keep the brightness at its full.
Really
Uh,
normal, right?
Yes, so the image will remain normal, and then you don't have to do it. So personally, why I don't use black inside of designs is when it comes to colors, is because the first thing is black is not attractive at all. Black is not black is not, first of all, it is not bright. So whenever people look at these images, so black is actually the absence of all color, and white is the presence of all colors. So why I personally use white and have been using white over such time, when it comes to these sort of situations, is that if you want people to focus on the titles of your images, and if they see a whiter screen, for example, if you start and increase the brightness of your phone or something, if you are on it, and you will see there is no difference in, if you increase your brightness a lot, then there is no difference when it comes to if you are using black. So if you're using black, the black remains the same whether you increase the brightness a lot or decrease the brightness a lot. So but if you're using white, and you even if you decrease your the brightness of your screens a lot, and even if you increase the brightness of your screens, the white moves along with the brightness of your screen. And currently we are not talking about print media. So as far as digital media is concerned, or digital screens are concerned, uh, we or I personally love to use white because it does the job better, basically nothing else. So there is no problem with whatever the flag or whatever the image is at the background. I just personally use white because it catches or grabs the attention of the viewer better. And I've seen it with using it over the past 4 or 5 years, that whenever you sort of use white in such situations, it catches the eye of the viewer or the consumer better. So you want to use such things, and you want to have a greater contrast. And when you do white, when you do a darker background and white, then you achieve both of those things. So you also get a contrast, and then you get the advantages of using a white color. So that is my justification for doing that thing. So again, no problem with keeping uh, the background at its full brightness or something, or decreasing the brightness of the image as a whole. But
Yeah, we are
uh,
totally agreed. Totally agreed.
yes, okay. So it is just design principles, nothing else, nothing else. And the only my only purpose of using white is what I explained. So yes, if we darken the image a little bit, we just make sure that the image doesn't lose its character, nothing else. Obviously we want to show the the Indian flag in all its colors, but at the same time we want people to just make sure that they have their eyes on the topic that we want to see. So, and as Anshuman said, so I was going ahead with the joke. So it is, if uh, some of you guys have actually worked with designers or freelancers of that sort, people don't care much about the history of those things. So majorly whenever someone has a client, like let's say I consider Anshuman my client currently. So if he says that we are not wanting to use Mahatma Gandhi's photo or anything related to him inside the poster, then we can't use that thing, because at the end of the day we are doing it for Sundarbans House. So let's say we are not going to use any of his symbolism. So that cuts down our initial list a lot, actually. So, and as Anshuman mentioned. Can you repeat yourself, Anshuman, regarding what symbolisms would you think would be better? Are you with us?
He basically said ki don't use Gandhi's uh, photo or anything.
Okay,
Nothing else, I
okay,
guess.
okay. So got it. So one more thing that we can do is we can introduce something. Okay, so basically this is all the information that we have currently available with us, and what we want to do is, uh, according to me, this currently looks very empty. So okay, I guess there is one more piece of information that we have missing. uh, we have to add Google Meet or something, because we need to make sure that people know on which platform this meet is going to happen. Okay, so adding that information currently. So yes, again, this still looks a lot empty, according to me. Uh,
Ye-
Besides this, yes,
Hello.
hello, yes, go ahead,
We can
Kushagra.
also add key. This is a discussion.
Okay, yes, yes, this is a discussion regarding, yes, something. So we have Anshuman with us currently. So if he could come online, or unmute himself and speak about the event a little bit, so we can have some things. And obviously, like he said, regarding the illustrations of using Gautam Buddha and one more person that he mentioned, I forgot. Sorry for that. So yes, adding some information. Okay, so basically, what Kushagra said is important in now. And let's say we have someone who has read the first line, and it says importance of ahimsa in modern era. Okay, the next thing that we want people to do is now read a small description of what the event is going to be. Okay, so again, there comes the role of, or the importance of, contrast again. You cannot have, let's say, I'm just writing random things right now. Don't actually focus on the content, but I'm just writing a discussion on the modern world. So okay, something like this. But the problem is, even though if we have lowered the size of this thing a little bit, we still don't have enough contrast. Like, it is difficult to distinguish between these two things. So like I mentioned before, we can introduce contrast with the help of fonts. So if I make this a little lighter like this, or if I lighten it up a little more like this, using extra light or something, basically. So this gets her point across a lot better. And if I would like to actually um, reinforce what I want to say, is the best thing that you see these sort of things on are movie posters. So if I pull up some examples for you to see. um okay, just a moment. I'll So you guys can see the screen, right? So let's say you have you have this poster over here. So like you see, the just a moment. Okay, so like seen in this poster, the major thing that you have is this thing in the middle. That is the title of the movie. Again, below it is written the by whom it is made. So it is the director of the movie, and everything apart from that, like these parts which you won't even see uh, when you look at it close. So there is a lot of information which they have put on the bottom, and it is a very common trend with movie posters nowadays. Like if I can pull up more examples regarding this. um, okay, yes, so again, like this one. like this photo. Okay, so it has the same thing. You have the main title which you want people to see, which over here is Annette, and then you have a big illustration in the middle, and then you have all the lesser important parts below or above it written anywhere. So you have the major parts of the poster in bold, in bigger letters, and you have everything else in smaller letters. So that is what we want to carry over in our poster currently, and we just want people to focus on this part, that is this our title. Then we want people to move on to the description of the event, and then if they want, they can see what is the details over how they will want to join the. So again, if we have people, or if we have Anshuman back, um, he can tell us more about what was required or what the event would actually be about. So Anshuman, are you here? Okay, so he's not with us currently. So again, uh, if if any of you guys have any other suggestions regarding the symbolism. Okay, so one more thing that I would like to mention is the reason for putting this date and time below all of these things, and putting it so far away, is because space in itself creates contrast. And if you have more white space, and and by white space I mean this thing, and whatever you have surrounding these. So the more you give your design, the more space you give your design to breathe, the better it is for your poster or for your design, because then people have these separate elements to look at. But if I cramp these all together into this thing over here, like if I put all these things together, then it starts to make lesser sense. But as and when I start to push it out and spread it out over the whole area of the canvas that we are using currently, so it creates more sense, or it makes more sense for the viewer to see all these things. And one more thing that is possible with such designs is, if let's say we are not going for a left to right approach, and let's say we decide to use different. So we are just currently duplicating this first page into the second one, and let's say we are going for something which you see here, and you go for this style better, or if we are going for this style where you have the title in between. So like I mentioned previously in the introduction, if you have a language that is written or read from left to right, then you have people looking, paying attention in that direction only. But if you just skip all of that and just write everything that you know in the middle of in the middle of the page, so that in itself takes out a lot of your eye tracking thing that I mentioned previously, like this one. So if everything is placed in the middle, then people don't usually read like this. Then they go for a different approach and they start from the middle itself. If you have a strong headline heading in the middle, then people then start looking at the design from the middle itself. So again, if we start doing it this way, and if we start presenting our designs better in this fashion. Okay, so again, if we start doing our design this way, if we start putting everything in the center, then it starts to make a different sort of sense. If then we can have the everything aligned in the center. Okay, so one more thing. Um, when you are placing everything in the center, then it is better if you place if you're center aligning your text, then it is better if you center everything that you have in the page. And Canva is very good in that, as it gives you guidelines to do it. So if I'm uh, bringing that thing in the center, then it creates a guideline for that. So yes, if you start putting it on the left, it looks less symmetrical, and it it doesn't seem to convey the message better, and it seems a little out of line, like with what you want to achieve. So it is better if if you are doing everything in the center, then you keep everything in the center. And with a design of this sort, we have a space for a lot of symbolisms over here. And if I'm still asking everyone if there are more suggestions for symbolisms, then we can continue with that, or we can just move on to the discussion part of the session and end it. So, does anyone have to have anything to ask currently on why we are doing something some way or the other?
No, I guess you explained everything perfectly.
Okay. So yes, so let's say we are looking to just going by what Anshuman said previously. Let's say we are if you're using the if you're using Gautam Buddha's images as our symbolism currently. Yeah, let's say. And
Uh, just a
yeah,
suggestion. I
yes.
think we shouldn't use any figures. मतलब किसी इंसान को नहीं डालते हैं, क्योंकि गांधी जयंती भी किसी और इंसान को डालेंगे तो पता चल जाएगा कि नहीं डाल रहे हैं गांधी जी को।
Okay, okay, okay. In that way,
किसी
okay.
सिंबल्स को डाल सकते हैं, मतलब अ, जैसे 4 पिलर्स हैं लेकिन उसका यहाँ यूज़ नहीं है।
Yes, yes. So currently, actually, this example is restricting us a lot in that sense. Um, so if we okay, so basically what I want to say is, if if you have something in what we have created in the first page, okay, so we have put the focus of the viewers first on this headline, then on this description, and then whatever is on the bottom, as people will start reading from here this side, and they'll move downwards, and then they'll finally come to the dates and time of everything. So apart from that, if apart from that, like we already have the Indian flag in the design currently. So if we have another symbol which maybe populates this area or this area a lot better, let's say, um, I can search for a few things.
सुंदरबंस का सिंबल भी यूज़ करना है।
Yes, yes. Sundarbans logo. Okay. Okay, so we'll use Sundarbans logo uh, a little late, but okay. So yes, one more crucial point which Kushagra has raised is we want to indicate by which house we are currently presenting this discussion. So what we want to do is, again, as the name of the house comes after. So it is all about the priority of the event that we want to give. So if you want to give the priority to your house, like if you want people to know that Sundarbans is doing something, then you put the focus on the house that you are doing. So why I'm saying all this is because when we want to write Sundarbans House presents, then what matters the most is what we are looking to achieve with the poster. So if we are looking to achieve that people look at our house name, or people make more sense out of the poster if they have the house name. Okay, so if people look at the house name and better identify with the poster, or if we are willing to target, if we are willing to popularize our house as a whole, then we would want people to know about our house better. So we will put our house in bolder letters or something. We would do that. But as our aim currently with sending out this event is the topic itself, so we'll keep the topic highlighted, and then after that we'll on the top of it we'll just write Sundarbans House presents in the smaller than the description of the event, so that it does not take the main space that we want our poster to have. And then obviously, as with every poster or something, we need to uh, position or put our logo somewhere here. Okay, so for that, as you can see, we don't have any corner free in our poster, so we can't put actually just cramp it up with everything that we have. So you need to come up with small solutions, and one basic solution is that you just shorten up this line. You make it shorter over here, and you just put your logo on the bottom right corner. So what this does is it maintains your hierarchy of all your elements, and it just makes it just frees up space for you to put the logo and not still have a lot of white space left for people to read, and still be able to identify or distinguish between all the different elements and have a lot of space. So basically, some more points that I would like to reiterate is you need to have a strong visual hierarchy. You need to have a lot of space around your elements, and don't and not have anything crammed up. You need to have some sort of symbolism that you want people to be aware of. In this case, our symbolism, we have as we have cut down a lot of possibilities on symbolism. So currently we are only using the Indian flag as the place of origin of the ideology represented here. So as a designer, basically, uh, due to the limitations on the symbolisms that we are using, so this is currently what we have prepared, and uh, this is just to make sure that whatever we are putting inside of the poster is distinguishable and catches the eye of the reader as soon as he or she views the poster. So, anything else that someone would like to say? So, if nobody has anything to add, then I guess we can end the session right here.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the session. Everything is very um, क्या कहते हैं, clear.
Clear. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, everything was great. Great session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
I really like it. It is my first session and I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.